Hey guys, welcome to the Mainspringer channel. I'm Parikh, and in today's video, we're going to look at a watch that was launched in the year 2022. And this is a watch from Bulgari. It's part of the Octo Finissimo line, and it's called the Sejima edition, which was launched as a limited 360 pieces. Now, the watch itself is another collaboration between Bulgari and a Japanese architect. In this case, it was Kazuyo Sejima, and she is quite a famous Japanese architect who's designed several structures, most particularly the Rolex Learning Center and the Louvre Lens Glass Pavilion. And one of the unique things about her design language is to have that idea of transparency where the structure almost disappears because of the extensive use of glass in their structures. And that kind of has become a signature of hers. And she's essentially extended that concept to apply that to this watch. And in particular, there was an idea that she had pioneered of the invisible train. I don't think they ever made it, but it was a concept. And the idea was, what if you could make a train whose body was almost like a polished stainless steel, such that it acted like a mirror and reflected the whole surrounding and consequently almost disappeared into the background. And that concept is what has been extended to the watch and the design in this particular case. Now, if you know anything about the Bulgari Octo Finissimo, it's a fantastic watch with a very unique design that actually serves as an excellent canvas for artists to express their ideas. And if you haven't checked out my video on the Tadao Ando edition, I talk extensively about the design of the Octo Finissimo and what makes it so unique for this sort of an experimentation. And in this particular case, it actually sings with the design ideas that she has implemented. Now, before I get to the watch, I really want to talk about the box and the packaging of this watch. I'm going to throw in some pictures over here, but essentially the whole box, I mean, if anyone feels that the weight of the box is akin to the quality of the watch, then we have a winner here because this watch weighs well over 11 pounds. It's a polished block of stainless steel, very similar to how it's implemented on the watch. And if you really put the watch in a surrounding where you have somewhat of a monotone background, the watch box really just disappears in that background. And it's very, very cool box, which itself serves as a piece of an art. So with that, let's get to the watch. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the things that are similar between this watch and the other Octo Finissimo models. The design of this watch is identical to that of most other Octo Finissimos. It's got the same BLV 138 movement, which has a 60-hour power reserve and a platinum micro rotor. The case back is exposed so you can see the movement, and that's the platinum micro rotor there that you can see. Of course, that's where the similarities end. But in this case, this watch is one polished hunk of stainless steel. Most other Bulgari watches are typically made out of titanium. This one is a stainless steel execution, polished to a mirror shine. And this is not also just a regular Octo Finissimo. This is the Octo Finissimo Sport. What that means is it's got a screw-down crown, which gives it 100 meters water resistance. Otherwise, in general, the watch itself has a design that is very reminiscent, but again, this looks nothing like the Tadao Ando version of the watch or any of the other titanium version of the watch. On the wrist, this just looks like a shining mirror bracelet in a darker environment, which really is as such when I'm filming this video inside the house. It does look quite a bit dark, but when you really take it into the light, this watch just reflects everything around. So yeah, you probably don't want to wear this watch driving because you might blind the driver on the opposite side, but it is a beautiful, beautiful execution of a very similar watch. And just like I said, the Bulgari Octo Finissimo case is such a unique design. It's got so much surface area that it really does serve as a canvas. Now, a lot of people feel like, hey, this watch looks really big on the wrist, and you really need to think of this as a bracelet. That's the way I tell most people to imagine this, because with the heft of the watch and the width of the bracelet and the case, it does very much wear like a bracelet. However, it's so thin, it's I think 6.6 millimeters thin, that it actually just looks like a second skin on you. Now, the second hand over here, which is quite hard to see. It only shows up in certain angles, almost looks like it's floating in mid-space. I'm trying to get a very acute angle over here so that you can actually see that second hand. But if you slightly tilt the watch, the second hand almost disappears. It's not a very hard watch to tell the time unless you're in low light, but in general, it actually looks better in real life than it does, on videos. Other unique aspect is the sapphire crystal actually has these tiny dots that are actually placed on it. And what that really does is create a sense of depth. It almost looks like the dots are floating just below the surface of the crystal, but they're not really on the dial. So it does give a very three-dimensional look, despite this being a very flat, planar surface. Let me show you what it looks like on the wrist. On the wrist, this watch wears beautifully. Again, as I said, more akin to a bracelet, less like a watch. But I do like that. Some people feel like it's too big. I really don't think it's that big. I think you can pull off larger watches if they're as thin as this. And that's really the ratio of how a watch sizing works. I have watches that are 34 millimeters in my collection that are vintage ones, but they're extremely thick because of the domed sapphire crystal. So even though they're 34, they actually wear quite well. And this is the opposite of that. This is 40 millimeters in a square cross-section, which generally tends to wear bigger than normal. However, because it's as thin as it is, it actually doesn't feel that big. Now, it is not as light as the titanium version. You do have some heft to this watch, so it actually feels pretty good on the wrist. But overall, I think this is a fantastic piece, again, from the Bulgari Octo Finissimo collection. There is one thing I do not like about this watch. It is a fingerprint magnet. I need to walk around with a polishing cloth in my hand the whole time because this thing just attracts fingerprints like crazy. But that said, it is meant to be more art than watch. That was really the original idea behind this piece, and I think Bulgari did a fantastic execution of this. This is also one of the most successful releases from Bulgari under the LVMH banner, so that's something to keep in mind because LVMH is really turning the heat up with a lot of their pieces across their different lines, including Louis Vuitton as well as Daniel Roth and Gerald Genta. So I think there's a lot of great stuff to come out of the Bulgari brand and other brands under the LVMH banner. Let me know what you think about this watch. What do you feel about the Bulgari Octo Finissimo? Do you like this particular style of execution with the watch? Let me know in the comments below. I know a lot of people do not like the size of this watch. They feel like, hey, if you ever launched one in a smaller size, I'd be willing to buy it. But let me know what you think in the comments below. If you have been watching my channels, I really appreciate the support. And if you're new to this channel, please do like and subscribe. It really does help grow the channel. Every view counts, every like counts. So I appreciate it. Thanks a lot and have a great day.